This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to The Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, we are back here in the very lovely studios of Pod Populi, Podcast for the People. Lot of feedback on the last show. So this show, when it drops, if you did not listen to the last show, listen to the last show. And a lot of the feedback was a little bit angry. And when I get that, it means that I was right. I was right. I rattled your cage and you know I was right. And that's really frustrating to people. People get so mad when I'm right. So they must be mad a lot. Anyway, she has been on this podcast before, and it wasn't that long ago. It's about 2 months ago. I was very rushed. She's a very busy woman. She was in a hurry. We had unfinished business. We had things to talk about. And it's more important now than ever that we have this conversation because I think, as I've told you guys before, moving into 2022, the lights are going back on, and we have to dive back into the both the shallow ends and the deep ends of the pool and start swimming again. And she knows how to do that. She is the founder of. She's the solo travel expert.
I am,
and she's the founder of what is the entity I'm pitching now?
Travelfun.biz. Travelfun.biz, baby.
B-I-Z. Shelby Frenette. How are you?
I'm fabulous, Brian. How are you?
She's wearing a cap. Is that a captain hat?
It is.
You're the
from
skipper?
Venezia.
All right, I'm going to lay out my theory to you. So you have literally been a cruise director in your life, for those of you who have not remembered this. And right now she is trying to get as many of us as possible onto cruise ships, back onto cruise ships. And here's a theory that I have that I think why I'm extremely pro cruise ship, especially for single people. Okay. Those of you who listen to this podcast a long, long time, you've heard me throw out the stat that every single day of your life, if you leave your house and you go to gym and you go to work and you go to the store, whatever, you are within 10 yards of 1,000 people of the opposite sex. You're within, if you're the guys, you're within 30 feet of 1,000 women. And if you're the women, you're within 10 yards, 30 feet of 1,000 men. Every single day, all over. Real live people. Okay. And so I once gave the stat, because I researched this to death for my book, and I asked a whole bunch of people, and there was actually some science to this and everything, but not to break that all down, that if you had a chance to engage with, as you guys know, my book was called How to Find Love in 60 Seconds. And I said that if you had a chance to engage with all 1,000 people for 60 seconds, how many people do you think, theoretically, you might be able to have a connection with or fall in love with out of 1,000? What do you think that number is?
My guess?
Yeah.
Out of 1,000.
And this is regular people. So some are married, some are 90 years
they're
old.
not all single.
Not all single, but just regular
okay.
people out of 1,000. If you could engage with all 1,000 for 60 seconds, how many do you think you could potentially have a spark with?
Me? Personally, probably 2.
Okay. So 2. That's not nothing, but 2.
Yeah.
The real answer is between 5 and 6. It was like 5.2 and I broke it down. But let's just say it's
picky though.
Okay, you're picky, but there's still 2. Okay, so let's work with your 2.
Okay.
That means that every single day of your life over the course of a year, you are within 10 yards every day of 2 people, which means that's 700 people a year, 730 people a year that you are within 30 feet of, that if you just connected with them, you could fall in love.
Okay.
That's tremendously hopeful.
Possible, maybe.
That it's possible, maybe. So take those 1,000 people and we put them on a boat.
Yeah.
And we then have whittled this down to a couple things. First of all, they're single.
Right. That's a plus.
They
really.
have some documentation of who they are. It's hard to get on a cruise ship without at least some passport.
Right. They're
or
not a
license.
scammer.
They're not a scammer. So then you have 1,000 people that have already been pre-screened. So if you're in a captive environment for 3, 5, 7-day cruises, whatever it is, and you have the chance to engage with a whole lot of them over the course of this time, so you're getting on a boat with, at worst, there's 5 or 6 people that's not needle in a haystack. That is like, oh man, they're here. How do I find them?
Right. Yeah, it's amazing to watch people interact for the first time, especially on a boat, because you literally are on the same ship, stuck on the same ship, so to speak. And I think there's so many variables that make it magical. And one of them is that there's less distraction. You're not going in different directions as much. You
have Wi-Fi, but you shouldn't be on it.
Right, kind of. And even people are using their Wi-Fi more. That's a whole different podcast. But I would say in general, I mean, there's just more opportunity to actually engage. You're in the mindset, the energetic vibration of interacting. You're not, go. Like I'm go. Like I miss a lot of things because my schedule is just so tight, and it's just like over here, over there. But when you're on a cruise, no matter who you are, your guard is a little down. You're like, okay, here I am. I'm here, right. And I'm going to be present in this moment. And then you really are people are interested in meeting other people on a cruise ship, where they're not really interested in meeting other people all the time.
Right. Not all the time. They don't want to be bothered. They're on their way.
Exactly.
So now you've taken this 1,000 people, you've moved them into an environment which is automatically going to create your odds. And so if you look at it from the time I board the gangplank, is that what you get on? You board.
We don't call it that anymore. Gangway.
When you gangway,
you jump off
walk
the gangplank.
Like a pirate. Oh, you jump off the gangplank. So if you're like, from the time I board, my only goal here is to try and find the 5 or 6 people at least that I could potentially fall in love with. That is a great way to vacation. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
That's a way to gamify it. Who wouldn't like that environment? They're here. You just got to find them.
And I usually tell people, and I have had over 500 cruises. I have worked with thousands and thousands of singles. Nobody has met more single people face to face than I have. Nobody.
Not even me?
No, I don't think so, because I spent 7 days with these people, like on board. At one point in my life, I spent more time with the singles than I did with my own family, because you're thinking about 7 days a week for 24 hours practically.
Yeah, maybe.
Like all the events.
We've had like 150,000 people come to our shows.
Right, but you're on stage for most of it.
True, I don't meet anybody.
Yeah, I'm like shaking hands, kissing babies, so to speak.
I'm doing no such thing.
So yeah, I really have like belly to belly time with these people.
Yeah.
But I am not.
Is that the limbo? It's just literally belly to belly.
I really feel like I should say at this point that I don't date the guests, because I'm not part of the package. So many times they go, "Oh,
is that a room upgrade?"
How could you exactly? They're like, "How could you be a singles cruise director and not be married or not date the guests?" And I'm like, "It's not an escort service.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm putting together cocktail parties and theme nights."
Do you get a better room?
No. Generally, I take the cheapest thing going, because we're all trying to make money, right?
But the rooms everything's gotten better.
Oh,
on
it's
cruise.
great.
Now, so here's another sort of theory stat I'm going to give you. How many bars are on this?
Okay.
On a
typical
boat?
vessel, yeah. I would say, anywhere between 10 and 30, really.
Okay, wow. So we were supposed to do, we were booked on the country music cruise last year. We were supposed to do the Great Love to Boat.
Oh, that's so
Get
cute.
it? COVID wiped it out.
Why aren't you doing that for me?
I would. Got to book it.
Okay,
COVID.
gotta book it.
I know. COVID wiped it out like a lot of other things. So the Great Love to Boat, to be continued. But anyway, so I have this other theory. If you live in a town that has really one bar, you're going to meet everybody, but eventually that pool's going to be saturated.
Yeah.
If you live in a place like New York City with 10,000 bars, and you go somewhere on a Friday night and you see somebody and you don't quite connect, you're never going to see that person again. Mm-hmm. It's too many choices. They're gone into the night.
Right.
So you can't build up that momentum.
Got it.
In a town that has, 8 to 10 choices, and you kind of go around, eventually you're going to, hey, that's that guy, that's that girl I saw last week.
Right.
It's a lot easier way.
And that's the whole cruise ship thing. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. That's what it's like so nice, because you reconnect, and it's like this silly, I don't even know what to call this except for a human like component, like an animal instinct, like where when you reconnect and see someone and there's no pressure, it's not like a date. That's the other thing that's so great with what we do with solo traveling and singles and all that, is that you're not in this pressure of, do I like you? Do you like me? Would I sleep with him? Would I sleep with her? I don't know about this. It's really like a natural, normal, hey, how's it going? Oh, where are you from? Okay, what do you do? Oh, nice to see you. Hey, I got to run. I'm out there. And then you reconnect and you see them again somewhere. And there's this like magic that feels like it was meant to be, even if it was just that it was proximity wise, but something about that human component of not being forced, it being natural, and then reconnecting, which seems naturally because you're not doing it.
And there are so many activities on these boats that are designed to break down walls and have fun and just make people relax. Now, How do you overcome? So when you're in college, you go on spring break. It's a similar
Right.
environment, and you just kind of know that I just want to have fun for 5 days, and I'm probably never going to see these people again. When you're an adult, and it's like, where are you from? Chicago? Where are you from? Albuquerque. And then it's like, shit.
Okay, so
should you go in there prepared to move?
first of all, I just want to say I don't know what kind of spring breaking you did, but it's nothing like spring break that I did.
I took 5 spring breaks my senior year.
Oh, okay. Well, no, this isn't like spring break, but spring break. I always tell people, spring breakers can't afford or don't even want to spend their money on cruising because they don't need to meet anyone. But anyway, it's a little bit more refined than that. The whole geography thing, my theory on that is that over 35 years old, you have a checkbox list that gets pretty freaking long. And if you put geography on that one, you're just dumb because you're not a tree and you can move. One of you can move.
Right.
And that is the least amount of your problems. I do recommend, though, trying to pick someone from your own country. I happen to marry a Canadian. That's a pain in the butt. But try to marry from your own country. But if it does not matter, don't be so rigid that you're going to be like, you're not in a 20-mile radius. No, you're not. But, if you would have met that person in the 20-mile radius already because you're there. So you didn't.
Yeah,
so
you're already there.
Just be happy you met someone.
Do Americans like cruises more than other countries, or is kind of globally everybody likes cruises?
I feel like Americans are just able to cruise more. And if other countries were able to cruise more, Asia was the market that was opening up the most right before COVID, actually. They were like basically en route to like just wrap it up and be the number one cruising area in the world.
Casinos are a big part of that.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
You're right about that culturally. I didn't even think that in because I don't really do much casino gambling. I'm more into the theme nights and dance parties. But anyway, so I would say that most people, I don't care who you are, I have had this conversation hundreds of thousands of times. And when someone tells me, oh, I wouldn't like a cruise, I'm just too confined. 98% of the time they have never cruised. And 98% of the time, that same person will go on a cruise for the first time thinking they aren't going to like it and then be booking one before they even leave. There is like a 2%, and these people have like really sensitive vertigo, like super, super sensitive.
Right.
And even some of those still like cruising. I have one of my travel agents because we do train travel agents as well at travelfund.biz. Not just we don't just sell cruises, we train travel agents, and that's exciting that we just started again in January because it was all closed down for COVID.
How open is the cruise world now?
Okay, so stats on that. All ships will be in the water that were before by July. All ships will be cruising.
Okay, and we're recording this in February 2022. So within 6 months, it's
all ships
full
will be
go.
Yeah. At this point now, over 1 million people have sailed since COVID shut it down. Over 1 million have sailed. I also think this stat is pretty interesting. Only approximately 1,000 have tested COVID positive out of 1 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's lower than the regular
And that doesn't
population.
mean they were sick. It just means they
Right.
tested positive. In fact, the majority were asymptomatic, and there was nothing.
Different podcast.
Right.
But
Anyway,
yeah.
it's just interesting.
How many did the industry lose a lot of people though? Because it was docked and
yeah, I would say that as far as the industry goes, I've never been. It's amazing I can be here without crying. It's been horrible. It was like the most horrible. Like you can't imagine, especially not knowing what to prepare for, and you're kind of just chasing the dragon, so to speak. And
I agree. It was in the show business, a lot of aspiring actors and actresses in Los Angeles, not only couldn't they get the acting work, suddenly they couldn't wait tables either.
Yeah.
And so there was a whole thing that people, after a certain amount of time, they're like, I'm going to have to go give this up. And a lot of people left and moved home and gave up on the dream. And there is a lot of trickle down to that.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I don't know if you know this, but one of the big cruise lines just went bankrupt. God, I don't want to say the wrong name. In fact, I don't want to say any of the names because I don't want to put any bad spin on anything. But one huge, very high-end luxury line went bankrupt just recently. I don't believe that anything will follow suit on anyone else because investors know that the cruise industry is going to be bigger than ever when it comes back. So they're able to bide their time. NCL consolidated a lot and got like huge loans, and they're okay. And Carnival, they'll survive no matter what because
are they the biggest?
Carnival is really the biggest of the. They own
it's like
everything.
Carnival,
they own
Holland,
Princess,
Disney.
No, Disney I believe is separate to that, but I could be wrong. But it was a major, ridiculous blow. But I also think that people know that once it comes back, it's going to come back stronger than ever.